Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're back for our final show of the night.
Thank God.
We've been doing this for a while, haven't we?
Ah.
Let me add it on Facebook. Here we go. Facebook will... Now we're live on Facebook. Okay. Nintendo, what's going on? Greetings, fellas. Hello. What's up, Vinkman? Welcome back. Thank you, Bob. Okay. Coming down in 3, 2... All right, Crawl Spacers, we're back for March. Our Friday night fight in March. We're gonna
Really been a month? Boy, how the time flies.
I tell you, man, it's been a fat minute.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Amazing Spider-Man 159, Kingpin, Ock, and Spidey all battling it out, George.
Are you sure about that?
Well, the cover says it, so it has to be true, and I'm paying $0.25 for it.
Yeah, JR, what are your issues with this issue?
He said Kingpin.
Oh, Hammerhead.
Oh, yeah.
My bad.
I didn't catch it either.
I didn't. Oh,
look at
very
JR.
good.
See,
Very
he still has moments where the senility kind of fades.
Well, he's got 80-year-old ears, and he caught Kingpins. I'm impressed. Very good. Good job.
The cognitive abilities will come back in occasionally. So.
Yeah, and it feels like we just talked about Kingpin, or not Kingpin.
Yeah,
you got me doing it. I'm going to be doing it the whole show now.
Well, last month we were talking about Cannonball Run. That threw you. So we're talking about Kingpin Ultra.
Well, no, I mean we literally just did a Spider history where we covered some of the
Hammerhead and Doc Ock.
Yeah, that happens. That precedes this very story. Actually, the preceding issue is where the story really starts, where we find out that Hammerhead, when last we saw, was getting blown up on the nuclear reactor island. Up in Canada, which is one of the most far-fetched stories I think I've ever really heard of. Oh, by the way, you own this nuclear reactor on this Canadian island.
Yeah, Didymus wants to know what we think of Hammerhead. I kind of like Hammerhead. I've always liked him.
I do like Hammerhead.
I did too.
I do like Hammerhead.
You like him, JR?
No.
Why?
I just always thought he was a great Z villain. I mean, he's. I mean, ever since the Kingpin kind of took control of New York and kind of became the premier crime lord or whatever, Hammerhead just kind of seems like an also ran, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly the best way to solve that is just have Hammerhead work for Kingpin.
Yeah.
But Hammerhead is so hard-headed.
Nah. Waka waka waka.
I'm here all week, folks. Try the veal. I don't think that would ever happen.
Yeah.
But so in the preceding issue to this, last we saw,
Wait a minute, real quick, not to interrupt, but Hornacek says he's Canadian, and there are many islands that have nuclear plants on them. So
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, the whole thing is just weird all around. So presumably, Hammerhead got blown up, and his atoms got scattered all the way to Bob and Doug McKenzie's house.
Ooh, I get that reference. I got that reference, like Cap says.
Oh, JR and I made a double reference.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, I didn't catch JR's. I got yours though, George.
Yeah. So that was the last we saw. But in this issue, the preceding issue, 158, he shows up as a ghost, quote unquote ghost.
That was so crazy. He was a floating ghost. Because
we find out that he's actually been phased out of. What's the best way to say? It's almost like he's in a concurrent dimension with us, but like he's phased out of existence, but he can still appear.
It's like weird. He was in a transporter accident.
Kinda, yeah.
In Star Trek, yeah.
So he's there, but he's not there, and he starts haunting Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's an interesting Spider-Man story. Anyway, so last issue he actually winds up tricking Dr. Octopus, which if you're Spider-Man will tell you not that hard to do. And to sort of re-scrambling his atoms and making him corporeal again, giving him form. So that's where this story picks up.
Yeah.
And one of those rare Spider-Man Doc Ock team-ups.
Oh yeah.
That we've ever seen. I think it was this, and then what? Towards the end of Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I guess really. So yeah, Hammerhead sits. He's a whole man now. Mm-hmm. Starts immediately mocking Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus and just charges him. Actually manages to flip Dr. Octopus onto his head with his tentacles. Doc Ock is It's almost like he reverse pile drives him or something.
Boom. That's rough.
So then he squares off on Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's like, "Oh yeah, you think you're, let's do this. Let's mix it up. Let's go. It's go time."
Oh,
And
Spidey.
And he hits Hammerhead right like on the top of his head. Like
of all the places.
I believe at this point in time, his head was made out of his skull was made out of vibranium, or the top of the skull was made out of vibranium. Right, yeah. I think it was vibranium. So not only is it bad enough that he hits it and this thing's like hard as steel, but it's also vibranium. So it also, kind of, shoves it back at you. And Spider-Man's like, ow, I forgot that his solid steel skull of his. And I'm like, how can you forget that?
How can you?
It's literally this guy's only stick. This and Tommy guns. How do you forget he has a steel head?
Well, not only that, how can you forget it when it's so visibly?
I know.
It's like it's not even human looking.
Yeah. I mean, dude's got like, like some kind of weird reverse triangle head.
Yeah,
right. I mean, he's basically a Dick Tracy villain.
Exactly. Yes.
And you forget the one thing that he's known for. I mean, his name is literally Hammerhead, not tough shoulder, or tough shoulder guy. It's Hammerhead.
Yeah, you don't hit him in the hammerhead. You hit him anywhere else in the body, not the hammerhead.
Yeah, he's not Kangaroo. You don't have to look out for his legs or his tail.
Right.
Hammerhead.
So off the bat, Spidey's dumb. He's not fighting well.
Yeah. Maybe he's a little startled and like out of sorts after seeing Dr. Octopus just get bitched in the last couple of panels.
Yeah.
By this guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, Spider-Man almost breaks his hand on Hammerhead's head, and then Hammerhead headbutts him, knocks the wind out of him. Spider-Man's doubled over like he wants to puke.
I mean, he's done.
He even says he's turning up cookies. So while Spider-Man's on the ground and Hammerhead's, thinking about finishing him off, Dr. Octopus is back up in the fight, comes at Hammerhead from behind, hits him on the top of the head, probably doesn't do much, but then hits him in the chin.
Yeah, there you go.
And now it's on. And suddenly Hammerhead is rushing Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus. Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus are on the same side.
Right.
Because they both have goals. Number one, they both want to stop Hammerhead. Number two, they both want to save Aunt May.
Yeah.
Who is locked away in a building.
The enemy of my enemy.
Yeah. So they all three collide in this huge, nobody's even paying attention to tactics or positioning or anything. They just charge one another like three pissed off bulls.
Yeah.
And then they stand there staggering and then fall over unconscious, all three of them.
Yeah.
And a very hilarious panel.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Aunt May is nearby screaming her full head off, which apparently somebody hears and calls the SWAT team. So, pardon me. So the in the comic book, they said that the SWAT team advances,
Yeah.
An armed assault team, and all of the SWAT team look like military guys. They look like they like Central Casting sent over some G.I. Joe characters.
No doubt. Yeah, they
don't look like the SWAT team. They look like military guys.
Yeah, they do.
Actually, they're Hammerheads guys, aren't they?
No. There's two groups. There's the SWAT team and Hammerheads guys. Mm-hmm. Hammerheads guys are the guys in yellow that are landing in the gyrocopter. Hammerhead gyrocopter.
There's some green guys and there's some yellow guys. Okay.
The green guys are the cops. The green guys that look like soldiers are the SWAT team.
Got it.
All right. So they both teams start getting into the building, and this is the building where Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus, and Hammerhead just knocked each other out. So suddenly you've got Hammerhead's team, which is in yellow, that almost look like Navy SEALs, but wearing yellow or something. But they're firing machine guns down at Spider-Man, trying to get him away from Hammerhead because they're there to pick up Hammerhead. Right as they're firing down at Spidey, and then here come the cops, and I'm putting that in air quotes for those of you listening that can't see, because they look like they're the military.
Yeah. So
now you've got a huge firefight going on between the cops and Hammerhead's goons.
Yeah.
One of the cops shoots one of Hammerhead's goons, hits the railing that this guy's leaning against, and this guy falls right on top of Spider-Man. Right? Even Dr. Octopus is taking cover like, what the hell is going on? And all this while, Hammerhead has gotten away. You don't see Hammerhead.
No.
So Spider-Man is fighting off Hammerhead's goons while Dr. Octopus fights the cops. And then Spider-Man has to punch one of the cops.
Yeah.
which I'm sure broke Spider-Man up. But it's just a huge melee. You've got Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus fighting Hammerhead's goons, taking out the cops. At one point, Spidey takes a cop and throws him over the shoulder onto the ground because he sees Hammerhead going after Aunt May, and then suddenly, Hammerhead's got a gun up to Aunt May, and using that to get away. You've got Hammerhead's guys throwing out smoke grenades, trying to cover their escape. Spider-Man's and Dr. Octopus beating more ass on Hammerhead's quasi-military guys. It's very...
Yeah.
Back in this time, it's very interesting how Dr. Octopus and the Owl and people like Hammerhead can just suddenly have this big group of like Hydra-like goons or Cobra-like goons, from like the G.I. Joe comics. Just at the drop of a dime. Yeah. Do you call somebody? You're like, yo, I guess Taskmaster. Is that who you called? You call Taskmaster, say, yo, do you have any minions trained up for me? I got 10 million. How many minions does that get me?
That would be a neat story. I wonder if anybody's done it. What it's like to be like a Kingpin minion, a Doc Ock minion, through the eyes of the minion. That'd be
Goons for hire.
Goons for hire. That'd be a good little story.
So they escape on a Hammerhead's gyrocopter.
Looks like a drone.
And then you've got it's the same type of craft that they took to the Canadian nuclear reactor island.
Yeah.
And in fact, at one point, there's even an editor's note. This we've seen this before, haven't we, or something like that?
Yeah.
And so Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus are just standing there side by side, like a couple of dumbasses, watching this thing get away.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Octopus is like, "Dude, we're on the same side. We gotta go. We gotta go save May." And he offers his hand to Spider-Man. Dr. Octopus, he's like, "Listen, I know I killed your girlfriend's dad and everything." Or
we good though. We good.
Yeah, come on, same team.
Come on, buddy.
Right? So Spider-Man's like, "No, I'm not shaking your hand." Probably because he knows what a murderous freak Dr. Octopus is, and says, "Yeah, come on, let's go do this." And Dr. Octopus is like, "Fine, I'll kill you later."
Yeah, but that doesn't stop Spider-Man in issue number 800 from forgiving all of Doc Ock's previous sins, right? And by 800, Doc's got a lot more.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
Got a clean slate with me.
I've got a problem with how forgiving Spider-Man is with some of his worst villains who have affected him on a personal level before. Remember just recently we were talking about the current storyline and Norman's part in it and how it didn't sit well with me. Spider-Man teaming up with Norman. Of all people, Norman. You know what I mean?
It's good.
There's no good Norman, please.
No.
So yeah. We get a brief panel here about the return of the Spider-Mobile.
Yeah.
Set something up. Then Jonah pisses off a replacement secretary to the point that she throws up her hands and quits. Meanwhile, Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man have found the building where Hammerhead has been holed up. It's an old nightclub. It's an old abandoned nightclub. And what was that? What?
JR sneezing.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I can't see anything because I'm looking at the issue.
Okay.
So yeah, inside the old abandoned nightclub, you've got Hammerhead's goons, including one dude that looks really dapper. He's got this
short
cut hair and the pencil-thin mustache, the nice suit.
Oh, what's the guy from Gone with the Wind?
Clark Gable.
He looks like Clark Gable.
He does look like Clark Gable, except with the world's most unfortunate tie.
Oh, what? Let me look.
I don't know what that is. It's yellow with green.
Looks like a marijuana tie.
I don't know what's going on with the tie.
Wow, look at that tie.
But Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man take these guys out pretty quickly, and then they make their way into the nightclub's kitchen, where I guess you've got Hammerhead's goons making sandwiches for all the fellows or something like that. And so they busted. You got Spider-Man and Doc Ock busting in on these two cooks, and then the two cooks reach for automatic weapons. The kitchen staff reaches for automatic weapons.
Yeah, they're right under the table. Yeah,
that is crazy. I expected them to run out a side door or something like that, but no. And then Dr. Octopus grabs there's conveniently a table full of knives.
Do they teach you that in culinary school? You need to start packing if you're making food for goons.
Yeah. Have a couple of Uzis nearby in case superheroes break in.
Yeah, no doubt.
So Dr. Octopus turns a bullseye. Right. throws all these blades. There's even a meat cleaver in there. Throws them and pins these guys to the walls. And I'm like, well, does Dr. Octopus think he's suddenly a superhero? Why aren't these guys dead? Man, it's Dr. Octopus. What?
Wow.
And I guess because Marvel couldn't show them, that'd be a little too graphic, all those knives, I guess.
Man, but, one of them hit the guy right above the chef's hat. Look at that.
I know, right? Look at it. Yeah. So Spider-Man, meanwhile, is facing down a couple of goons with Tommy guns and a pistol, who come barging in another set of doors into the kitchen, and Spider-Man takes them both out with frying pans.
With spang and playing.
I mean, now here's the thing. I mean, Spider-Man's a strong guy. At this point in Spider-Man's career, he's already at that 10-ton level, right?
Right.
So why didn't he just punch him out, and kind of like pull the punch, so like he did with Clark Gable with the bad tie? Hitting them with frying pans is even worse, man. You
could kill a dude with the frying pan, couldn't you?
Yeah, I was like, both of these guys have like short-term memory loss, and maybe like lost the ability to taste salt. Or something crazy like that comes with like a brain damage. You never know what's going to happen. Suddenly, I don't like chicken anymore. It's weird.
Where'd that come from? I got hit by Spider-Man by a tin frying pan in the kitchen.
Spider-Man hit me so hard I forgot my address. I mean, who knows? So further on in the club, Hammerhead's trying to get at May to calm down and have a drink.
I'm warning you, sister.
Yeah, and then when she's like, no, I don't touch demon liquor.
Demon liquor.
No, she doesn't say that. I said that, but yeah. When she rejects the booze, and he looks like he's about to backhand her across the room.
He's about to backslap Aunt May there. Look at that. Oh my gosh.
And then a table, one of these rolling tables, presumably from the kitchen, comes rolling in with a bunch of defeated goons. And then Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man come in. They confront Hammerhead, who touches a button on his desk, and a wall slides up, and it's just dudes with Tommy guns everywhere. And I'm like, how convenient. And if you're these guys, it's like, okay, what do you want us to do, boss? Stand behind this retractable wall with guns
and wait,
and just wait. When the wall comes up, just start killing people.
Can you imagine if you're the night janitor in the nightclub and you accidentally hit the button?
What do you do if you're the guys behind the wall and you're just waiting there forever? You're like, can we smoke? What are we going to do? Anybody got a flask of whiskey? What are we supposed to do?
Can we play some cards back here? Or
no, we can't. It's too dark. We'll light does anyone have a lighter? Maybe we can see. Well, we don't know how much oxygen we have back here. Do we really want to use a lighter? It's crazy. So Hammerhead grabs one of their Tommy guns, starts teeing off on Spider-Man, trying to hit him. Spider-Man webs up the front of the gun, and the gun explodes.
There you go.
And I'm like, there you go. That's Spidey. That's not the Spidey early on who hit Hammerhead on top of the head, forgetting his head was made of steel.
Dumb.
So then he kicks Hammerhead in the chest, trying to put him down. Dr. Octopus starts cleaning up the goons with the Tommy guns. Then Hammerhead makes it over to the wall and activates a button, and the office that they're in of this nightclub starts revolving. Like one of these top of the world restaurants, and like the towers with all the glass and everything, like a revolving restaurant. It just starts turning. And apparently it's got a speed mode because sure, that makes sense.
This isn't the first appearance of that revolving thing. It was way back in issue 113 or whatever. I mean, this is an old hideout, actually.
Man,
I don't remember that at all. But I'm like, okay, I can see you've got a revolving office. Why does it have adjustable speeds that get to the point where they're like a centrifuge?
Well, it's like a record. They could do a 78. They could do a 44.
I guess.
33rd and a third.
Makes sense for a nightclub at this time, right? Because they're all using vinyl back then.
Matt says one of the henchmen is called Bert and Ernie.
Oh, are they?
I didn't catch that. That's pretty good. Hornacek is wondering if the guys behind the retractable wall had any magazines to read, waiting so they can come out and shoot.
So Hammerhead busts out of this thing.
He's out.
Yeah, he jumps through the window of this revolving thing. So it's like anybody that wants to escape this room that suddenly turned into a centrifuge of death.
Mm-hmm.
has to jump through this, like you get like a quick second to jump through something that's not brick.
Right.
Until and Dr. Octopus makes it out before Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's like, Doc, you have to help me. We might not be able to get these people out alive. And Dr. Octopus is like, dude, what do I care?
I'm out.
I'm out. I'm gone.
I'm out. Team up over.
So yeah, he jumps out the window, and then Spider-Man is able to throw a desk down into the gears of this thing, stop it from moving.
Yeah.
Hammerhead's goons think him by trying to kill him. There's this great panel of Spider-Man kicking this dude so hard, like he goes down, like his head's back on the ground while he's punching two people out at the same time. He's taking out three people in the same go. It's a great panel.
I see it. It's on the screen now.
Meanwhile, you've got Dr. Octopus on the roof calling out Hammerhead, right? And then the roof swings open, and so the gyrocopter can like move out of it, and Dr. Octopus kind of goes swirling back. You've got Hammerhead mocking him from below, and Dr. Octopus throws trash cans, of all things, up at this gyrocopter, which hit one of the rotors, and it just falls into the river and explodes. It just hits the water into the Hudson River and explodes.
Yeah,
it doesn't break apart on impact. It ignites on the water and just boom. So you don't know if Hammerhead's dead again. Spider-Man, meanwhile, punches his way out of the club. He's got Aunt May with him. She's passed out. Dr. Octopus is like, give me Aunt May. And Spider-Man's like, no, bite me on my spider butt. Dr. Octopus takes off, vowing revenge. Spider-Man turns Aunt May over to the paramedics, and then peace, he's out. And one of the craziest things I've ever read, man.
Oh,
this thing was nuts.
That is nuts. Oh my gosh. All right. So how
decision.
Wait, we had 2 rounds, right? Spider-Man versus Hammerhead.
Yeah. And the first one's going to be a draw because they all knocked one another out.
They all fall down. Yeah.
But by the end of it, Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus, the unlikely team of Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus, oddly enough, both 8-legged creatures. I just realized. Ooh. Never caught that analogy before. Since they actually get Aunt May and Hammerhead goes careening into the Hudson River and explodes, I think we have to say decision: Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man.
Did Spider-Man actually win that fight? Because Doc Ock took the plane out. Spider-Man didn't do anything.
Yeah, but Spider-Man saved Aunt May. Spider-Man saved the goons that then tried to kill him inside the whirling room of death. And they both beat a ton of ass.
That's true.
On goons. So, each one of them did something vital at the end.
That's true. Yeah.
So, or a decision, Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus.
Wow.
Who actually made an effective team.
Yeah. Hornacek says next issue, My Killer, My Car. That's where the Spider-Mobile goes into attacks him. I remember that one.
Yep.
That's where the Spider-Mobile meets its final fate.
Yep.
Oh,
crazy.
No. It's all these decades we've not had a Spider-Mobile.
That's a crazy fight, but by God, back in the 70s, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was a cool deal.
And as far as I know, I can't think of any other time when Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus teamed up before this.
Exception of Superior.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying before.
Towards the end, yeah.
So,
well, there you go. That is the March Friday Night Fight.
JR, when this came out in 74, you were on your 3rd marriage and already had your PhD. What did you think of this issue when it came out back then?
For some strange reason, it was like, I was thinking, how stupid of bringing Hammerhead back, being a ghost. It's like he got blown up on a nuclear island, and he's a ghost, and then Dr. Octopus turns him real again by shocking him. And it's like, but then again, I was like, I think I kind of forgot myself there. I forgot that I was reading a 70s comic book because I was expecting some logic. But, I just never see. Here's the thing. I like Dr. Octopus. He's one of my favorite villains. The thing is, though, at this time, it was like every time he showed up, he was attached to Hammerhead. I mean, it happened like in like 111 to 113, and then 130, 131, and then here, and it was like, God, I'd just like to get some Spidey and Doc Ock action. Why's Hammerhead got to keep getting involved? But I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah,
it was like, geez, I'd like to see Spidey and Doc Ock go at each other without Hammerhead. So
Hornacek is asking for a Friday night fight of Spidey versus a Spider-Mobile.
I don't know. Spider-Mobile won the first round, right?
Didn't he though?
Yeah, Spider-Mobile webbed him up or whatever and took him to the Tinker. So
there was a cartoon where Spidey and Doc Ock teamed up in the 90s. I don't remember that.
This is how many issues before the Owl and Octopus War?
Well, no, the Alan Octopus was in the early 80s, like 82 or so.
But I mean, it was like about 7 years.
That's why I'm saying how much earlier this is.
Yeah, 7 years, because that was like Spectacular 74 to 78, and actually this was like 159, so it's like 5 months before the first issue of Spectacular. So
because you had a lot of good action, Spider-Man and Doc Ock action. Excuse me, I'm trying to cough. You had a lot of good Spider-Man and Doc Ock action before then, or I'm sorry, by then, culminating in that great moment where Spider-Man pulls his arms off, pulls the tentacles off. Did you enjoy that? Were you like, oh yes, finally, I get the sweet action I crave?
No, that's one of my all-time favorites. Is that whole series of issues there with Owl, Octopus, and the Black Cat.
Still not been reprinted in a trade.
No,
still not on Marvel Unlimited. Why? We've mentioned that one for years.
It's too graphic because Black Cat got shot in the boob.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
She did literally take a bullet in the boob.
She did. She took a boob.
She got shot like 87 times, and one of them was in the boob.
Right in the boob.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like my wife always likes watching all these British shows or whatever, crime shows or whatever, and I just love all the warnings. Like warnings: sex, violence, blood, gore, intros, smoking. And it's like, wow, how terrible, smoking. It's like they put it on the same level with sex and violence.
I always like it when you watch like an HBO show and it lists all the various things. I'm like, oh, it's got it all. All of the boxes are checked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, woohoo!
I mean, it's just like,
I'm getting my money for this R rating.
It's just like, I mean, what kind of namby-pamby-ish thing is where we equate smoking with graphic violence and sex?
That's the PC woke world we live in now, JR.
We got Hornacek talking about it feels like they were going to reveal that they were long lost brothers, Ock and the Hammerhead.
No.
Matt wants to know if I
Dr. Octopus is way older than Peter. How's that going to work out?
Yeah. Okay. Matt says, did you catch my answer to who owned the radioactive island that Aunt May inherited was Norman Osborn in his first year of hiding after his demise? Where was that revealed?
I presume he's making that up. If it's that, even if it was canon, I would ignore it.
Where did you see that, Matt? What issue did that happen?
I think he's making it up.
Well,
it's not real.
The guy who makes stuff up thinks you're making that up.
I mean, he's an expert.
He's an expert at making things up. Yeah.
Now wait a minute. You're far too hard on the embellishments that I make.
You make shit up
to make the story flow more readily.
No, Hornacek, we understood what you're saying. You're saying that Doc Ock and Hammerhead were long lost brothers, not Doc and Peter. No, we were talking about how.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was thinking. Doc.
I misunderstood him entirely. Yeah.
Were you okay?
Yeah.
Do you think
that could make sense?
Do you think there are any standout spec runs? Everyone knows the Mathis run, but do you guys think there's any other good runs?
For my money, it's whatever Sal Buscema drew back then.
Mm-hmm. That was Conway.
Yeah, that was a lot of different writers, or no, at least two. Conway,
DeMatteis.
I was thinking it was Conway and then DeMatteis. It seemed like somebody else wrote it too. It seemed like there was at least.
Oh yeah, there was Stern and Matt Lowe.
Yeah, but
not Sal.
Not with Sal. But for my on when it comes to Spectacular. I judge it by the artist, and I'm saying for me that Spectacular is always going to be Sal's book.
I'm doing a read through of Spec at the moment. I am halfway through Stearns, and Stern. What'd you guys think of his early Spec stuff? I'm not that fond of it at the moment.
Well,
I mean, he's kind of learning how to write Spider-Man, I think, in Spec.
Yeah, but you also have to kind of think of what was going on in Amazing at the time with Denny O'Neil's run, and you know, at that time it was definitely I think Spectacular was like a lot of one issue kind of one shot.
It was. It's very, very choppy, and you could tell that they were trying to make it like a team up book with White Tiger back in the early runs too.
Yeah,
that was kind of weird.
He was Hector was a supporting character there.
He was
for a long time, actually, until issue 60 or something. So it had Spectacular really had kind of a trial and error trying to find out where it belonged.
It did. It kept trying to justify its existence.
Didn't White Tiger have a lot of appearances in Spidey Super Stories too?
Maybe one or two.
I don't remember.
It was Spec where he was in a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he first showed up in like Spec 9 and 10, and then after like the Carrion story arc, he was a regular character. Him and his girlfriend.
The main story villain with Stern is the one that was fighting Roderick Kingsley, the woman, the fashion designer girl.
Belladonna.
Oh yeah,
Belladonna. That was weird. That was weird.
That was weird.
That was a weird one. Ira says Peter David had a good run in Spec. I would agree. Well, he did the Gene DeWolf story in Spec.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was kind of when Spec grew up a little bit, kind of.
It did. It took 100 issues, but it
went up a notch, you know.
But no, I like when Mantlo took it over. He introduced Cloak and Dagger.
You know,
Punisher was in there.
I'll say this about Peter David and the death of Gene DeWolf. It impacted me so much as a reader of Spidey stories back then that when it happened, it had such an impact on me that I saw it, literally physically saw it larger than it was. Because I always remembered, it had been years since I'd read it, but in my mind, I'd always remembered like the scene where she sprawled out on the bed dead with her eyes open.
Oh, and her head's back. Yeah.
Was in my mind, I always remembered that as a double splash page, and it wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't. It was just one panel on the page. But in my mind, I remembered it like it was that impactful, like it was that big.
I think when Owsley took over, a.k.a. Christopher Priest, he wanted Spec to be the crime grown-up Spider-Man story. Webb, he was going to travel, and Amazing was the main book. So
you know what I could have done with more back in the day was more heroes for hire in Spider-Man stories. Like like
Luke
Power
Cage,
Man and Iron Fist. Yeah,
really.
I could have done with like Spidey teaming up with them more.
Do you think Spider-Man would have joined Heroes for Hire because he needed the money?
He would have joined, but it wouldn't have lasted long.
Yeah,
like it would have let him pay off one bill, and then something would have happened, and they'd been like, "Dude, we can't. Our insurance won't cover you." Or there'd be something. There'd be some kind of reason that he couldn't stay. But I would have liked to see more.
Well, Spider-Man always had a hard time taking orders. I mean, he always had a hard time going with the flow, and his moral sensibilities tended to get offended very easily.
But with Heroes for Hire, I wouldn't think there would be an issue where he was taking orders, because Cage and Fist didn't sit around giving each other orders.
Right. Matt says that there's a question in the death of Gene DeWolf. Did you guys catch the reference to Stearns, the kid who collects Spider-Man? I don't remember that in Gene DeWolf's story. Do you guys?
No, not offhand.
What was it, Matt? Tell us. Hornacek says that Gene DeWolf story had the all-new, all-daring written on the cover, as if the title wasn't long enough.
Yeah.
The all-new, the all-daring Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. That is the longest damn title.
No, I actually like Spectacular, even after the first couple of years, and then they did the first Carrion story arc.
In the 30s.
Yeah, and that was, and Miller drew, Frank Miller drew Spider-Man
was blind. Spider-Man was blind.
Daredevil. And so I thought that, and then Mantlo took over and put him in grad school. And that's when the supporting cast, I mean, they weren't classic stories, but I just thought it was, it was different than Amazing, and it kind of he was interacting with different people, and people acted as springboards to different stories or whatever. I thought it was solid.
I think I agree. It's very much a B title though, but it does. I think the goal of why they launched the book was to give it something different than Amazing and focus on more of the Peter Parker life, the more of the grad school life, which, as we've been reading Amazing Spider-Man under Spencer, does Peter Parker have a job? Does Peter Parker have any supporting cast besides Aunt May and Mary Jane?
Gotta have a J.O.B.
I know. What does Peter? I mean, haven't seen much with Fred, his roommate. How does Peter Parker? We haven't seen a single day, nearly, of him in school with the lizard.
Well, because everything, because we've got to have these long, drawn ass, boring ass stories. I mean, it's just, that's something that's been lost. But I don't know. That's another.
I wouldn't say the story's boring for me. It's just that the story's taking too long to get where it needs to go.
Yeah, very much padded.
It's interesting. It's not a issue of me not finding it interesting. It's just there's so much padding. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't blame Spencer for that. I blame editorial for it.
Yeah,
but the thing is, though, like where all that padding is in the old days, it would be filled with supporting characters and Peter doing things.
Yeah,
I mean, but you get 4 issues of the Spider Buddies, talking amongst themselves, or you get a full page of Norman making faces,
Yeah, and I mean, also, you had that brief period where Mary Jane was gone. I say that brief period that was better part of a year, really.
Yeah.
Where Mary Jane wasn't there because she was in her own book, and then you're right though. More could have been done with Fred, and I mean, technically with Fred and Randy. I mean, he's living with all 3 of them, or both of them. All 3 of them living together.
Yeah, but I guess finally we're getting to that. I guess whatever, starting in the early '60s, Robbie and Tombstone, and and the fact that Randy's dating Tombstone's daughter, and I guess, and then they're going to try to sell us the Kingpin Boomerang story in a giant-sized Spider-Man, as reported by the Crawl Space. And it's like, so instead of happening in Amazing, it's going to be a book we're going to have to pay $9.99 for. This is the type of stuff that has made me give it up. I mean, it's like, my son and I have been talking about, because I don't have a comic shop do a pull list for me. I almost never have. It's just because it's just something I've never done, and Spencer, my son's, let's do it, Dad. Gee whiz, it's like, yeah, but I want to quit too often. That's the thing. And it's this, and one of the reasons is, you just get tired of the storytelling.
Is that giant size really going to be $10?
No,
I have no idea.
I think Jared's going off the comment I made. I said back in the 70s, the giant size were a quarter when the regular book was what, 15.
Because if that giant size is $10, you know me.
I know you out.
I won't be getting.
But I imagine. I mean, here's what I think. I put that in the comment on the Crawl Space comment section under the article. So the reasoning, people will say, well, why don't they wrap this story up in Amazing? Wouldn't it sell more? And I'm like, well, they won't make as big a profit. It may sell less, but if they charge $10 for it, they're in the red, or in the black, for profits.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, after a while, you just get tired of being manipulated like that.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, think about it. How many of the $10 issues that they've had so far? I think there's been 3 by now.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them were actually worth $10?
Well, they were very much padded. There was like maybe a 30-page story, and then like 4 or 5 backups,
and then a ton of like bottom drawer stuff. That's
the one that was the closest to being worth it was actually 800, because the Red Goblin, because that was one story. It was one long story. Yeah. There was no backup stories. There was no, Peter Parker's pad issue, or no, here's the origin. Here's the first appearance of Mephisto. Whether it was a good story was debatable, but no, I mean, this last one, 850 or whatever, the main story was only part of it. And then you got,
there was one that was really trippy, and I can't even remember it. I was like, this is awful.
You know what they ought to be doing instead of padding for the trade? They should be writing original stories for the trade. Like bring back, remember like the old days of the Marvel graphic novel?
Yeah.
They should just be doing that. If you want to make money off of trades, right? Instead of selling people shit they already bought, right? Because you're padding for the trade so that you can you can have more trades. Oh, here's this storyline, part 1 and volume 1, 2, 3, and literally there are people that will buy crap they've already read.
Yeah.
In these collected issues, so you're boring them twice for double the money. But why don't they just start doing graphic novels? Why don't they just say, okay, instead of padding this and boring everybody to death because we're making it unnecessarily longer, why don't we just do original graphic novel stories?
Well, they've done that.
They've done that. I'm just saying, why don't they do more of it? Is what you know, like instead of having to pad this thing, why don't we have this thing with Kingpin and Fred, right, and Spidey? Why can't that be like its own, like, 50 to 80 page graphic novel? I mean, like, here's the thing, like if Spencer wrote that and it was going to be like a cool storyline, I would actually consider buying that. I'd spend like $30 on it or whatever. Yeah. I'm not going to spend $10 for a single issue of a comic. That they could kiss my ass on that one. They
did that Mark Waid story where they introduced Teresa Parker as an original graphic novel.
I'm not ever going to pay $30 for anything Mark Waid writes.
And Rob Liefeld did a Deadpool original graphic novel. And,
again,
And then what was the other thing? So maybe it was Mark Waid again. They did a Avengers and Ultron original graphic novel. They haven't done any in the last couple of years.
Now, see, that's just me, though. I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of fans that are out there that still think Mark Waid's, worth a damn, and they're willing to, buy something of his.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Marvel has gotten so bad in the last 20 years. All I focus on now is Spider-Man.
Right.
So. But if Spencer came out, like if Spencer were to write a trade, I would probably pick it up. But it would have to. It's not going to be a $10 for a single comic. Give me a damn book.
Yeah.
Right. And charge $30 or whatever. But if Spencer's writing it and Spencer doesn't have to pad anything, if editorial's not saying, "Oh, hey, draw this out," and he can tell a single story, beginning to finish, the way he wants to, that's what I kind of want to see.
Yeah. I agree. I feel bad for Spencer in the fact that I do feel exactly what you've been saying. It's been padded. It's been.
Yeah. I'm sure, honestly, at the end of I'm sure Spencer hates it as much as we do.
Yeah.
I'm sure Spencer would rather be spending, his run doing a lot of other stuff than this one storyline that Marvel is saying, "Oh, hey, let's keep it going, but let's pause it and throw in this Craven crap, or throw in this thing or throw in that thing." I'm like, let the man tell his stories.
No, I agree. How about we take another 10 minutes? We'll answer questions and we'll wrap this thing up, everybody.
That's fine.
Heroing says he's about on the fence of dropping the book because though I enjoy Spencer's writing, it's being stretched too far out. I agree. He also says he agrees about the more original graphic novels or more unique miniseries like Spider-Man Life Story.
You're getting what? Spider-Man? What is this?
Spiders something.
Which is redoing an old What If. I mean, it's like what if the symbiote stuck? I don't know. I don't have any interest in that whatsoever.
Oh, here we go. Here's Matt's answer. When Spidey was searching out Senator's pad, he finds a set of photos in Jean's apartment, and in a thought balloon, he says to himself, "I haven't seen so many clippings since that dying boy."
I remember when he found the clippings, but I don't remember that being said.
That dying boy. Oh,
yeah. I think I remember that reference now. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Feel free to ask us a few more questions before we wrap this thing up. We've got another podcast coming up at the end of the month where we're going to review 4 issues of Amazing Spider-Man. It's going to be the 27th. We've got all the folks in this room right now lined up for that one. So that'll be fun. We've got 4 issues. We're going to tackle, is it next week or the following, where you got Mary Jane on the cover embracing Spider-Man with the tentacles. So,
no, I mean, we're going to be, I guess, reviewing that among others on February 27th, but I don't know when it comes out. It doesn't come out this week.
I think it comes out on the 24th, which is, Hey, Walter, thank you for the super chat. I haven't seen you in a
Oh,
while,
wow.
Walter. Thank you, man.
Hey, what's up, Walter?
Been a fat minute.
Fat. What? You said that so many times tonight. Where did you get that?
I don't know. I've always said it's been a fat minute.
I've never heard that before tonight. I've never heard
It's
you
never
say
got
it.
down to Texas.
That's a fat minute.
That's like the crawl space version of Crazy Town Banana Pants.
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
By the way, someone in the chat, I think I popped it up on the screen. They said what was it called? The Ditko wine.
Old Ditko.
Old Ditko. When you need
I don't think that's wine. I think that's whiskey.
old Ditko whiskey.
Yeah, because I think it's kind of referring to things like Old Crow or Old Granddad. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be whiskey.
Oh, and Walter goes, "Hello, old guys. Yeah, this is the old crew of the crawl space."
Wait a minute, what old guy?
Wow.
I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't take that line down.
I feel attacked. I mean, I'm still a young man. JR farts dust.
But speaking of old guys, this is my last week of being a 45-year-old dude. The week after, I'm turning 46.
Oh, boo-hoo.
The big
My
4-6,
heart's
man.
crying. My
Yeah.
heart's crying for you.
Yeah.
What, tentacle play is more now popular with Marvel? Ooh. Without spoiling, who's watched it and your thoughts on WandaVision? I've watched it. George has watched it. JR is waiting till the trade.
I've watched it, but I'm very. In fact, we were watching the episode yesterday, and I've said I've about had it with this. I keep again. I'm not. I guess Of course, my wife said, "Well, you're just not patient."
How many have you seen?
I've seen them all of them. Yeah, it just. I get sick of. It's like the fact that the first few were so short. I feel like I'm being strung along.
They're all like half an hour.
They're all half an hour. They're
Well,
not any longer or short.
the last couple ones have been closer to real episodes, like 40 minutes or so. But the first couple were like 25 minutes, and
it's almost like they were old sitcoms or something.
Well, I know that's the point. But it's like I would rather, like I said, I would rather have this dropped at the same time. And I know I heard George's explanation for why they do it differently than Netflix does, but it's like, again, my argument is that, well, boohoo, it's your own fault for launching a thing before you had any content, and it's like you bought the entire Fox library. Why the hell isn't that all on Disney Plus then?
A lot of the X-Men stuff.
I was very skeptical if I was going to enjoy the show after episode 2. When episode 3 dropped, and it went from 4x3 to 16x9, and it became in the regular cinematic universe. I'm like, ooh.
I've never been skeptical of it. I've always enjoyed it.
George, you're the biggest Vision and Wanda fan I know. And are you enjoying it?
Yeah,
Good.
Am I enjoying this a lot more than Vision being dead? Yeah. Although I think ultimately we're going back to that.
I don't know about that.
Unfortunately, I think he'll still be dead. Now, if they bring in Wonder Man to come along and then start Wonder Man up with Scarlet Witch, they'll get my middle finger. I'll quit that.
I saw you post that on our Discord. Why do you hate Wonder Man?
He's a trash character.
It's a stupid ass character. It's a stupid ass character.
He is a trash character, Brad.
I thought for sure you would like him and the Beast teaming up in the Avengers during Perez.
No, I hated that. I hated the Perez run. Number one, the Perez run. Number one. Okay. Okay. We'll go there. Number one, the Perez run. A lot of it was just rehashing crap that Stern had done, just doing it differently instead of no.
The Perez.
No.
I'm not talking. That's the second Perez run. I'm talking about the first.
Oh, I thought you meant like him.
I'm not talking. I know you hate Kurt Busiek's Avengers. I'm talking about 70s.
And that's not a reference to Perez. I mean, Perez is a great artist. I'm just talking about that period. That's what I thought.
I know you don't like that. I was talking about the 70s Perez.
You're talking. Oh no, no, that's gold. I love that because that's a different thing. That's a different thing.
No, that's Wonder Man and Beast teamed up. Still,
no, I hated that. Wonder Man was the least interesting Avenger during that period.
All right.
He really was. Like, number one, he's got normal clothes. Number two, he's a billionaire industrialist who, is also an actor. Give me a break. What? Okay, whatever. And I'm not a billionaire industrialist, but I mean, he was rich because he did not start off as an actor. He was like a business guy.
Okay.
And then suddenly he's an actor and he's Joe Hollywood and he's popular for that. And it's just, he's always been a garbage character.
Also, as watching WandaVision, I've wanted to hear George's opinions on Monica Rambeau. I mean, you love you some Monica Rambeau.
I'm a big Monica Rambeau fan.
Aren't they? I think they're doing her good. I like what they're doing with her.
Yeah, no, they've been doing very well with her.
I mean, the casting of her looks perfect too. I
can't remember the actress's name, but she's really great.
Good. I liked her when she was in the sitcom world.
They even give her the hair.
Oh, I know. I even said that to my wife.
I'm like, give her the hair.
That's Monica's hair. I love that. It was tie this into Spider-Man. Monica Rambeau, introduced by Roger Stern in Amazing Spider-Man Annual 16.
Yep.
Well, the problem though with Monica is that it's pretty obvious when you watch her. You say, well, why the hell isn't she Captain Marvel instead of Brie Larson? I mean, it just, when you look at the casting, for the most part, they've been so on, and then you look at Brie Larson as Carol, and it's like, how did you F this one up?
I'm a big Carol fan. I've made no bones about that. I'm a big Carol fan. I always have been since way back in the day. I've always loved Carol. And I saw the first Captain Marvel movie. I thought it was okay. It was kind of boring in places. It wasn't as good as it should have been. She's one of these Marvel characters that actually does better in other people's films.
No, yeah. When she came in Endgame and took out Thanos' ship, I'm like, ooh.
Spider-Man is one of those other characters. Spider-Man is better in the MCU outside of his own films. Yeah. What I didn't do is I didn't listen to a lot of the PR leading up to Captain Marvel. I was kind of tuned out back then. I was like, I don't care. So I didn't listen to a lot of the interviews and a lot of the man-hating bullshit that went on. Yeah. So I didn't listen to any of that. I remember people talking about it like it was going on, and I was like, you know what? I was at a point I was like, I don't care. I'm kind of done with this woke crap. But then I also noticed, I was like, Wonder Woman comes along and manages to show a strong female character and show equality, and they did it in a very, very good way. The first Wonder Woman movie, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, look, they made a movie everybody can enjoy it, and they didn't have to do a PR run like Harley Quinn, her movie and all this other crap. Where they're like, boy, do we hate men? And I'm like, do you want them to go see your movie? Then STFU maybe.
Yeah.
Walter
wants to know, Dr. Drew versus Wonder Man. Who's the worst?
Wonder Man.
Wonder Man.
Yeah, D-Man is more interesting than Wonder Man.
I do like D-Man, actually.
So I look at Brie Larson and I'm like, I didn't mind her in Endgame. I thought Captain Marvel came off very well in Endgame. Again, she's doing better in someone else's movie. Yeah. But so long as I don't listen to Brie Larson talk, outside of things, I'm good with it.
That's generally good a rule of advice for actors anyway.
It really is. It really is. Just especially if your message is, boy, do men suck.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get people to come see comic book movies, maybe double think that.
Yeah. Mary has a good question. She says, fellas, I was wondering if you guys have been using Marvel Unlimited recently. And if so, are there any hidden gems series that you found that you normally wouldn't read? I recently, it's actually, they're probably not hidden gems. It's just me not getting around to reading them since so many people have said they're so good. I recently read Tom King's Vision because I got on a Vision and Wanda kick after watching WandaVision. And have you guys read Tom King's Vision? It came out within the last 10 years.
No.
It's Vision creates a family of robots. So he creates a wife and he creates a son and a daughter. And it's just as good as they say it is. It's so if you haven't read Tom King's Vision, highly, highly recommend that. I also read Matt Fraction's Hawkeye recently. Again, a lot of people have praised that. I thought that was great. I read both those series on Marvel Unlimited, and I didn't pick them up in print back in the day. George, you read anything on Marvel Unlimited that recently that you left?
Yes, I am currently rereading Tomb of Dracula.
Oh,
which is
I've never read that.
You should. It's a lot of fun. And I'm doing, Web Sentry. One of our community members. He is going to remember back in the day when I wanted to do like a Marvel horror podcast and a Doctor Strange podcast. And
I remember that. Yeah.
A
long time ago.
It was a long time ago. He's actually going to try to do like a Marvel horror podcast. Cool. And he asked me if I would come on for the first episode and talk about Marv Wolfman's Dracula. And I said, of course I would. I would love to. Nice. And I said, but let me go back and refresh myself on the Wolfman run, which is from number 7 to 70. The first 6 issues were written by different people,
Right.
and it didn't really get coherent until Wolfman took over and then just owned the whole thing. So I'm going back through a lot of it, and I haven't read like the full thing in over 5 years, I think. So that's what I'm currently. I'm currently
cool.
rereading that Tomb of Dracula. Tomb of Dracula is tremendous. I'm
also for 30 years I've meant to read the 12-issue Vision and Scarlet Witch mini. Is that any good, George?
Yeah.
It's very much what the show's based on, I hear.
A lot of it is, yeah.
I'm currently reading that 4-issue series that Mantlo did in the early 80s.
Yeah, because
they just got married. I kind of got on a Vision Wanda kick recently.
Yeah, no, you should read that limited. Yeah,
a symbiote Spider-Man's in issue 11. He is. I
don't have a problem with symbiote Spider-Man. I don't have a problem with pre-Venom symbiote.
Oh yeah, that's all good. JR, you reading anything on Marvel Unlimited?
I have not had a chance. I have been buried under working a lot of other things, and I haven't had a chance to just fire up the Kindle and go through it. To be honest,
Mary, what are you reading on Marvel Unlimited? Feel free to chime in. She also says, Mary says that JR is 100% right. Hey, that's something I don't see in the comments very often. Monica should have been Captain Marvel.
Because it's understood. It doesn't have to be stated. It's just understood.
We got another question up here.
Let's see. I mean, it just as strong as much as Marvel has been pushing the diversity thing. It just, I mean, I don't want to start going down that rabbit hole, but that would have been a natural. I mean, a woman lead and an African American female lead. Why didn't you just do that?
That's actually from the comics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of doing this boring as wood, I guess part of my problem is I get too caught up in all the nonsense that's going around going around art. I mean, if the noise going around it can distract me from it. And actually, that's kind of one reason I used to be a huge sports fan, huge baseball fan, and everything. But the noise of these players and their egos and their obnoxious opinions and. It just kind of took me out.
They killed sports. I read an article recently because the Super Bowl recently was like the big Tom Brady, like 8th Super Bowl, and everybody's freaking out. That was actually one of the lowest watched Super Bowls.
Oh, really?
Ever. And I think there was like one in like 2006 where it like got lower ratings. But the article was like the puzzling ratings drop continues, and I'm like, dude, everyone knows why the ratings dropped on football. Please stop. Everyone knows. Matt
has a question about writer artists like Frank Miller or Todd McFarlane. Is there who's our favorite? Spider-Man really hasn't had a writer / artist with the exception of McFarlane, I don't think.
Not that I can recall.
In the 80s, I would have said John Byrne, but I don't think John Byrne is as good.
There was that period where it was Eric Larson. Yeah. Not really, not for Spidey. I would say now if we're talking about other books other than Spidey, I would say like Walt Simonson, John Byrne.
Walt Simonson, yeah.
It's kind of funny that some of these other books like Fantastic Four and She-Hulk or whatever, a writer or artist has been able to almost co-opt the character. But I guess Spider-Man has been resistant to that. I mean, Spider-Man is
Wonder
Spider-Man.
why.
Because Spider-Man's usually got more than one person writing it per month.
Yeah,
for over various books, so it's harder for there to be like one voice. There's not ever been like more than one. I don't think there hadn't been one.
I think McFarlane got a little bit better though. I mean, but he got out of there. Like I thought that Wolverine story was better than the Doom.
McFarlane's a great artist. He's not a good writer.
What about the Morbius Under the City story? That 2-parter. You put the black suit back on. You remember that one?
I don't even remember that one.
Yeah,
that's one I bought when I restocked my back extra collection. I honestly don't think I've ever even read it.
Well, Morbius took over some homeless people under the city. And,
I remember the story.
Yeah.
Barely. There's not a lot of stories that I would deem memorable from that run.
Yeah. Mary wants to know our favorite Hulk personality. Mine used to be Green Scar and Devil Hulk, but the recent Immortal Hulk issues give me a lot of respect for Joe Fixit.
Mine will always be I would say Professor Hulk and Joe Fixit would be a close second, and then regular baseline Savage Hulk would be third.
I think my bro. I mean, I really didn't follow the Hulk enough to develop an affinity for any. But my brother was a big Hulk fan, and I think he was very fond of Joe Fixit, the Joe Fixit issues.
My favorite is the default, which is the Hulk smash, Hulk this, Hulk that. Mm-hmm. Joe Fixit. Now, Mary, the Joe Fixit in the current Immortal Hulk he's not gray. He's Banner as a con man. But when you say Joe Fixit, I like him gray in a gangster suit in Vegas. Joe Fixit. That's who I like. I do like the Hulk where he's got a little bit of brain, but he's a little evil. I don't think Professor Hulk works for me. After seeing the two Avengers movies, I really don't like Professor Hulk.
Well, as we learned later on in the Paul Jenkins Ron Garney issues, Professor Hulk wasn't even real.
Oh, refresh me. It's been 20 years. What?
Yeah. And the Jenkins, I don't recall all of it exactly, but like Professor Hulk was like kind of a facade. It wasn't actually Banner. I don't remember how.
I don't remember either, but I did like that run.
I don't remember how he explained it, but it was like Banner Hulk was not, Professor Hulk was not actually what we thought it was.
I liked this past summer when I interviewed Jenkins. I said, why was your Hulk run so short? Because it was good. I liked it a lot. And he goes, I'm not that dude. I'm not angry all the time. You got to be pissed off to write Hulk. And I thought that was the greatest answer. I'm like, you're probably right. You're probably right. Mary has been reading. Oh no, Michael Reed's been reading Squadron Supreme.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I've never read Squadron Supreme.
How have you never read that? That is amazing.
I love. What's his name? He wrote Quasar and he wrote Cap.
Mark Grunwald.
I love his writing too, and I should read Squadron Supreme.
You absolutely should. It is fantastic.
His ashes were scattered into the ink, weren't they? The first trade.
The third trade's paperback. Yeah,
the first trade.
I used to have that, and I loaned it to a friend and never got it back.
You better get it back. You still talk to that dude?
No.
Oh.
Well, of course they're not friends anymore because he didn't give George's book back.
I know. Mary says she's been reading Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil. Oh, that is really good. I don't know what happened with Zdarsky on spec. Like there would be several issues that they were really good, and then there were several issues that sucked. Almost every issue of his Daredevil has been awesome. Also, his Spider-Man Life Story was really good. I also reread Peter David's Hulk run on Marvel Unlimited, Mary, and I thought it kind of petered out when he became Professor Hulk and he lived in the suburbs with Betty. But his last issue, Incredible Hulk 467, is probably one of the best Hulk issues of all time. So Peter David goes out on a really high note on that issue. And I would recommend...
Is that the one where Rick Jones is being interviewed?
Yes, by Peter Parker.
By Peter Parker. Yeah.
But Peter David's writing the Maestro currently. He's has one miniseries out. He's on the second one where it talks about the early days of how the Hulk became the Maestro. So I would recommend that. Here you go, Hornacek. That's a good one. Dan Jurgens. He was a writer and an artist, but he only wrote like 6 issues of Ben Reilly on that sensational Spider-Man book in the 90s. Because he was ticked that he didn't get to write Peter Parker. He was writing Ben Reilly, right?
Right.
Yeah, I remember that. That's one of the rare cases where there was a writer/artist. Let's see. What else we got?
Yeah, Ben Reilly doesn't count.
Hearing says, George, are you he's a big Conan fan.
Oh, right? I'm a huge fan. How can I not be? I'm a Texan.
I'm wondering what does that mean? Is the writer of Conan from Texas? I didn't know
Robert Howard.
Robert Howard from Peachtree, Texas. Lived in Cross.
I know you like Dungeons and Dragons, and do you think he's an approachable character? If so, where would you recommend?
Do I like D&D? I am currently DMing 4 D&D campaigns. Our own Mike McNulty and Neil Bogenreiter are in both of them. Are in the first one that I started that's going back now about 3.5 years. I have played D&D since the 1981 Moldvay Red Box.
Oof.
So I have a very long history with D&D. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Walter,
but I love Conan. I absolutely love Conan. I love the Conan Robert E. Howard stories, not the like Lynn Carter and other stuff that came out after. I like a lot of people that write Conan.
You like Roy Thomas stuff?
I do. I like the comics. I liked Roy Thomas and the John Buscema stuff quite a bit.
John Buscema was on Conan for a long time.
I've
read articles that he liked drawing Conan more than the superheroes.
It showed. It showed, dude, because his best work, I do feel, is like Seven Short of Conan. I mean, he really just went off in that book.
Yeah.
But it's, Marvel's Conan stuff was very, very strong.
One of my favorite artists.
What happened to it? I mean, I never read it. I never got into it or whatever, but I just remember it being such a strong title for years and years and years. And then did they lose the license or something?
The bankruptcy, right? They lost it in the 90s. They stopped printing Conan.
Yeah, like the last Conan book they printed, I think, was like in, I want to say like 92 or 93. It was like a King Conan. It was like because I remember because I bought the last issue of it.
It came back for like a year, like in 94.
I think they lost the license to it, and then it went over to Dark Horse.
Yeah.
For the longest time, and now it's back with Marvel. And it was funny because Dark Horse actually did black and white reprints of Savage Sword.
Yeah, now Marvel's got these giant omnibuses of all the original stuff. Like you could go nuts with Conan now if you wanted to. I never got into Conan. I just never.
Yeah, I never did either. But I just remembered it being because it had a long run and it was very popular. It was, and I think, was it Roy Thomas? Did Roy Thomas do the What If number 13 where Conan was actually put into the real world or something? And
I remember that. That
story got a really strong reaction, and then it just like dropped off the face of the earth.
There's been a lot of crossover too, because like Red Sonja fits in with that, and Red Sonja is crossed over with Spider-Man on more than one occasion. Yeah. Kulan Gath is a
X-Men.
Has it been an X-Men? I know Kulan Gath was like an Avenger.
Uncanny X-Men 189 and 190. Spider-Man and Kulan Gath and the X-Men.
Because Spider-Man's always been immune to Kulan Gath's powers, and like in X-Men or whatever, they find Spider-Man crucified or something like that.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Yeah. But that's from like the Red Sonja Conan stuff.
Red Sonja, Robert E. Howard created Red Sonja 2, right?
He created
a version of it.
He created Red Sonja, like with a Y. And then Marvel did Red Sonja with a J, and the characters are completely different.
But Marvel doesn't have the rights to Red Sonja, though, do they? Because they can't reprint.
No.
Yeah, I don't quite understand how that works.
Red Sonja's first appearance wasn't that where she turned into Mary Jane, was it? Like she was before that, right?
She appeared before that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she was before that, but like for example, in the Marvel Team Up Black and White, the Essentials, they couldn't reprint that one. Because they didn't have the license anymore.
It was neat. It was some company that had Red Sonja did a Spider-Man team up, and Spider-Man referenced that old team up issue. It was like, oh, I remember teaming up. You were Mary Jane for a time, and I remember that reference in that. It probably early 2000s and when that company crossover.
It's like Dynamite or something. Wasn't
Dynamite. There you go. That was it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Hornacek says. The only good Wonder Man story I ever read was the Emperor Doom, where he was the only person in the world not affected by Doom using the Purple Man to mind control the whole world.
I remember that.
I need to read Emperor Doom. I've not read that.
But yeah, that Wonder Man is just such a zero character.
Matt wants to know the best Spider-Man company crossover comic stories do you guys love?
I don't know if there's any that I love, frankly.
Well, no, I mean Spider-Man Superman was good.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Spider-Man and Batman by Bagley and DeMatteis.
I liked both of those Spider-Man Batman things.
I didn't like the second one.
We covered the second one.
I know we covered it.
I know. You don't like the artwork.
The art was awful.
But I liked the second Spider-Man Superman crossover too because it had had Hulk in it. Remember you had that Superman Hulk fight?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, no, there's been some that I like.
Right. Have I missed any comments?
There was apparently a Spider-Man, or at one point Spider-Man appeared in Transformers, and I never caught it.
Wait until you hit 50. Oh yeah, Spider-Man number 3. It's got Spider-Man webbing up Megatron on the cover. I remember that. Peter Parker was going to take some pictures of the new Transformers that landed on Earth, and then got in a big battle with the Decepticons. I remember that. Yeah.
And
Walter's. It was in Transformers issue 3.
Because you said it was Spider-Man 3, and I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, Transformers
like,
issue 3.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, there was Venom, there was Sandman, and there was Megatron in Spider-Man 3.
And I even had those Transformers books back when Marvel first started doing them.
Yeah.
And I don't remember that at all.
Well, here I can pull up the cover for you.
I doubt they're on Marvel Unlimited.
Oh, they're not.
Yeah.
Well, Spider-Man had another team up with the Avengers and the Transformers within the last 10 years. Yeah, there's the cover.
Speaking of Hasbro stuff, since they own Transformers, there's a company that Hasbro owns D&D. They own Wizards of the Coast. That's Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast are the people that do Magic the Gathering and D&D.
Yeah.
And they are licensing another company to use the D&D rules to make games for using the D&D rules for G.I. Joe and Power Rangers.
Oh. By the way, this is 1984. Spider-Man had just gotten the black suit. So this is the symbiote that he's wearing it there when he fights Megatron.
Oh, dude, he's kicking Megatron's ass. God, I need to read that now.
Oh, dude,
that's the thing, because I was reading these back then because I was buying them, but I don't remember this. I need to go back and read this.
Wow, it was fun. That's probably what turned me on to Transformers. I'm like, Spider-Man's fighting him? Oh, Walter, thank you for the super chat. For the panel, what would the best character to give Spidey the most dynamic fight that hasn't been used in the last 20 years? Oh,
I honestly don't know, because a lot of the characters from the last 20 years, a lot of the new villains, I don't know, because I frankly haven't cared about any of them. Some of them are just too try hard like that. What was that one guy that Slott did for Secret Wars? The one who killed all the other superheroes and imprisoned all
Renew Your Vows, that dude.
Yeah.
What was that guy's name?
Got his name on the top of my tongue, but I can't.
That just goes to show.
Regent. I think it was Regent.
Yeah, God, that was so spare. I don't know. It's hard to say.
But is the question that a character Spider-Man hasn't fought in 20 years, or
the
most
that
dynamic
hasn't been used in the last 20 years?
Has there been a new villain introduced in the last 20 years that Spider-Man's not fought? And I can't think of.
I mean, I'm sure there are like other books. Yeah. It's just I don't read any of the other books anymore because I couldn't care less, so I don't know what villains are out there.
Boy, Walter, you've stumped the band. I can't. I can't think of one. Spider-Man ever fought Apocalypse? That would be a very good fight, but Apocalypse is the last 30 years. Come think of it. Spider-Man fought Mr. Sinister, and he did some cloning.
So not only can he beat the X-Men, he can also defeat all their villains.
I don't think Spider-Man ever fought Apocalypse, though.
Actually, as I recall, the only Spider-Man Magneto fight was one panel.
That was that Eric Larson one.
No. Oh, was there more than one then?
Because Acts of Vengeance, he went up against Magneto, didn't he?
He went up against Graviton. Oh yeah, I know he did go up against Magneto.
Yep.
But no, I'm thinking of like Secret Wars. What was that number 2, where Spider-Man comes bouncing out in that metal ball. He's like, guys, it's Magneto. He's just kind of bouncing around like a tumbleweed.
Spider-Man fights the Mole Man. I think that's been done, hasn't it?
Oh, I'm sure. At some
Probably.
point.
Do you remember it? I don't remember it, but it sounds familiar. The Fantastic Simonson. Walt Simonson did it with the new Fantastic Four.
Yeah, he was with the new Fantastic Four.
Yeah, there you go. I remember that. Michael
Guys,
Reed wants. Oh,
I'm going to
what?
pack it in, guys. I'm going to pack it in, guys.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
already after. Yeah,
Here,
it's already
look,
after
let
midnight.
me answer these real quick because I got a picture up. Michael Reed wants to know who owns ROM. IDW owns ROM. They put out new ROM comics.
Not Marvel.
Yeah.
The weird thing about that is that they don't own the rights to Rom's villains, which are the Dire Race. Those are
The
still
Dire Race. Marvel owns the Dire Race.
Yep.
Sal Buscema, our pal Sal did a cover. I can't. Oh, that's Sienkiewicz. But our pal Sal did a recent cover for ROM, and they also do the Micronauts, by the way, JR. If you want to go read some Micronauts.
I read the first time they tried to bring them. I forget what company it was. If it was Dynamite or something, just did not care for it whatsoever. There was just something, glorious. It's like anything else. I mean, some comics work if they're just gloriously tacky. And if you try to actually make them look realistic or relevant, they fall flat.
That's if you go back and look at it, that says that Rom is fighting the Dire Wraiths in that. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Oh, weird.
I thought the Dire Wraiths was still. I thought they were 100% Marvel.
Who knows? Oh, Spider-Man versus Super Skrull. That's been done by John Byrne and Team Up.
Yeah, it was him and
that.
Marvel.
Yep,
him and Carol.
And Spidey Super Stories had Spidey and the Mole Man and the Daily Newspaper strip. So there's your Mole Man, says Venkman.
Yeah, they're stretching there.
I am like JR. I'm going to bed.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. This has been 4 hours of us talking Spider-Man. So join us in a couple weeks. We will be back. And thank you to our Patreon members. Here we go.